morning, everybody. If you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. As you can tell from the agenda, we were not here last week for us at the KAC meeting in Wichita, so we've got quite a bit of agenda today, plus our special meeting this afternoon on Coma and Cora. So, entertain a motion to approve the minutes as of Monday, November the 4th. I think we've all had an opportunity to review them.
I was absent that day, so
Yes.
I'll abstain.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Cody has moved. Entertain a second.
Yeah, I'll second.
Bob's second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried 4-0 with Tom abstaining. Consent agenda. Move to authorize Director Chairman to sign 17 tax abatements to the Treasurer's tax roll in the amount of $6,405.24. Move to approve the consent agenda. There are some various changes there in taxes, so didn't know whether anybody had any questions on them or not, but there was a few of them that had the ownership needed to be corrected for 2019. There were several of them in that line. A couple vehicles was not registered quite right. And then there was a lower, on 4 or 5 of them, lower penalty to 25% rather after receiving significant redemption. And those were not, they were just a few dollars on those 4 or 5, so.
I guess also move.
Okay, Tom has moved. Entertain a second.
I'll second.
Fred is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. Under the miscellaneous motions, move to approve the proclamation proclaiming the month of November as Diabetes Awareness Month in Coffee County.
I'll move.
Fred has moved.
I'll second that.
Tom is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. We have 3 other motions. Move to approve the legal holidays for Coffee County employees during the calendar year 2020 and New Year's Day 2021.
We have a list of those.
Okay, we do now.
Some of these guys might not know what they are.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I didn't get a copy,
Well,
so I couldn't give it to you.
we just got 1 copy.
They just, these guys might want to know what they are.
I think I'm kind of aware. Unless they added one.
We did not.
From
It's
last
the
year.
same legal one.
I think everything's identical to what it has been.
Yeah, no change from.
We always have all the federal holidays except for Columbus Day, and we take the day of Thanksgiving as after Thanksgiving instead of Columbus Day.
Yep. I'll make a motion.
Okay, Tom has moved. Entertain a second.
I'll second.
Fred is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Next motion, move to approve the paydays for Coffee County employees during the calendar year 2020.
I'll move.
Oh, sorry.
Bob has moved. Entertain a second.
Second.
Tom is second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. The third motion, move to approve the memorandum designating 2 personal days for the 2020 calendar year. 2020 has 2,096 working hours, 16 hours more than a regular calendar year. That situation doesn't happen very often, but it does occasionally happen.
I guess I'm gonna have to mathematically figure that out, how that, or somebody, you know how that happens?
Do we have any designated, I mean,
We do,
Leap year?
what are they?
you guys can designate them to be
Like,
whatever you
I
want.
guess I'd like to see.
Like for this year, we had 1 personal day because there was 2088 instead of 2080. And you guys designated that Christmas Eve would be that personal day because you knew everybody was gonna come in and want it closed anyway.
We have a 2020 calendar year.
I do.
I'm just curious of where Christmas falls on this next year.
I'm not sure how often the 2,096 hours comes into play.
That doesn't come very
Not
often.
very often, it
Probably
has.
not very,
It has.
the extra 8 hours happens quite a bit.
Leap year,
I'm sorry?
with leap year?
Well, leap year. would be-
December 25th is a Friday next year.
So, we could designate
Last time we had 2.
we could designate Thursday as one of them, and then let the other one be a choice.
And that's what you did last time, there was 2.
Okay,
In other words, that would be Christmas Eve, because everybody wants it off anyway.
okay. Entertain a motion with, make that as a motion, Bob?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, Bob, so moved. Christmas Eve to be a one day, and then the other one will be a personal day. Entertain a second.
Second.
Tom is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0.
These need to go around to be signed, and then this was the one you signed. I got the second page.
Okay,
Come on.
we have 3 other motions, and I evidently turned the 2 green pages together and didn't catch
This is the
this.
proclamation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion number 1, move to reappoint Rosemary Rich, District 5, as a member of the Coffee County Hospital Board to receive their 3-year term effective January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2022. Bob is moved. Entertain a second.
Second.
Tom is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Second motion, move to reappoint Jody Thomas, District 4, as a member of the Coffee County Hospital Board to a 3-year term effective January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2022.
I'll make that motion.
Cody has moved. Entertain a second.
I'll second.
Fred is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Motion number 3, move to reappoint Rhonda Tulip, Acting Economic Development Director, and Joanne, how do you pronounce that?
Our readers, I don't know.
Caritas. Okay. Chamber Director as members of the Coffee County Tourism and Visitors Board to a 2-year term effective January 1, 2020, and ending December 31st, 2021. I apologize for not being able to pronounce Joanne's last name.
I'll make that motion.
Cody's made the motion. Entertain a second.
Second.
Tom, second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. Lindsay, we're ready for your health report.
All right, thanks guys. I'll try to keep it brief. Trying a new format here again this month. So I've highlighted some areas that I want to make sure that we discuss today. You can see our drive-through flu clinic numbers there. They are a little lower than typical years because we have not had vaccine availability and we did have to cancel News Drawn for the same reason. but we have been very busy in the office, so, we're making up for it there for sure. We did have to end up borrowing from another county, and we now have the supply to pay that back, so we thank Morris County for that. And we will get that paid back this Thursday. As you all know, we have Wolf Creek Drill coming up this week, and that will take some staff time. The one thing I do have, that I need your action on is we are revising our regional memorandum of agreement between the 8 counties that comprise the East Central Kansas Public Health Coalition. That is the agreement that allows Carl to do the work that he does, but also allows us 8 counties to work together for preparedness. And, we're not really changing much of the intent of the agreement, we're just changing some language. The Lyon County Health Department is no longer that. They are now a contracting service and have been for a while of Lyon County government, so that's the language that's been changed. As well as we took out the word accreditation and just put in increasing capability and capacity, which was the language in there before. So we made it be a little more generic instead of specific to accreditation. So those are the only changes there.
Okay. Lindsay has a motion before us upon the recommendation of the Health Department Administrator and the approval of the County Attorney as to form, move to authorize and direct the Chairman to sign the East Central Kansas Public Health Coalition agreement between the representatives of the boards of the health of Lyon, Franklin, Greenwood, Coffee, Wabunsee, Osage, Chase, Morris counties. This agreement is for the purpose of working together to increase the local health department capacity and capabilities to provide essential public health services to the population served in said counties.
I'll make that
Entertain a motion. Bob moved.
I'll second.
Fred is second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0.
Thank you. Wednesday, as 3 nurses will be at the hospital for hazmat training, so we won't be able to do open clinics, so we are doing that today, and we've been advertising that as we've discussed before. As far as mental wellness goes, it has been taking up quite a bit of my time and thought process, but I've attended a conference, I've presented at another, but I really wanted to let you guys know that I went down and attended the Allen County Drug Court. So for folks that have been caught up with law enforcement for reasons pertaining to drugs, they go through a special court, and the judge gets to hold them accountable to getting treatment and getting providers. It's more of supporting them rather than penalizing them, and it gets people on the road to recovery. And so it's something that we've discussed briefly here in Coffee County. I just wanted to learn a little bit more about it. I think it would be a great program for our area. I'm not sure that we're big enough. That's not my decision to make, so we're working with the judicial system on that here too, to see if something like that or mental health courts could be implemented here to help with the mental wellness programs that we're trying to do. I have started a new agreement with Thrive Allen County. They've written a grant that covers Coffee County for working on opioids. So I've had several meetings and interviews with them about that, so that's going well. There's not a lot of community involvement beyond a couple of us, so I'm hoping that that expands and grows. We'll see how that works out. And I've also been working with Coffee County Medical Center and Hospital on some opioid stuff and some depression stuff as well. So good things are happening in that area for us. We're working on securing a speaker for January 20th. It'll be here at the school for school personnel, and community members are invited as well. We're reviewing our strategic plan, and I'm researching some counseling apps to see, since we do have a shortage of providers, if there is a way that the internet can help us with that. County employee wellness, to highlight there, we are now able to offer the county employees the flu vaccines. If you haven't gotten yours, come on down. We are trying to keep that inexpensive and giving the regular dose for that, but if people need it, we accommodate. Maintain No Gain is going on. We have 54 participating there. The AEDs have all been checked across the county. They're doing fine. I'm hearing the lake, might want to get one, and so I've directed them on where to go for that, and we'll be glad to maintain that one if they do get one out there as well. There's one more wellness circuit event coming up on Thanksgiving morning. As far as community wellness goes, we have done a presentation at the library during their October festivities. We've done 2 social media campaigns for lead poisoning and influenza, attended the Women's Health Fair. We have hopefully a program starting with the hospital for looking at 2020 and how to relate that back to your health. I think I might have mentioned that to you guys when I was here before. Really working on health goals and how we can help people reach their health goals out in the community, similar to what we do here. Back up on disease containment, there are a couple of cases we're working right now, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, hepatitis A, and we're following up on some mumps exposure that happened at the FFA convention in Indianapolis. Several Kansas folks were there, but the risk is very low. It was a vendor that might have exposed children, but the Coffee County kiddos seem to be fully vaccinated, and we're working with the schools on that. So far, there's no issue. We're just apprising the schools of what KDHE is recommending, which is just a watch and wait type of thing. So I did want to let you guys know that flu is now considered sporadic in Kansas. It's not localized yet. It's not very heavy yet, but the numbers that I'm seeing are a little higher than last year at the same time. So for both the A and the B strains. So we are watching that. And I know we've had some positive cases in the county. So the stomach, I didn't put this in here, but the stomach stuff is going around now. Norovirus is the one that causes some cramping, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. So that is going around right now. Under family health and women's health, we have been doing a lot with our maternal depression screenings. That is going very well. We're actually working with some other counties on best practices, working with KU, KDHE on best practices with that. Been to a couple meetings on phone and in person, cleaning up a lot of our data, and that's been very helpful. We also had some training with SOS. We are now considered a safe place. If someone who's a victim of human trafficking or abuse, they can come into the health department and we can get them to help. We always would have done that, but now it's official. We have the process and the signage in place for that. We're going to continue working on our maternal depression screenings through March as part of this program. You can see Marilyn's work there. She's been very busy, and I'm working a lot with her on the fencing stuff and trying to get her processes in place so it's a lot easier, smoother documentation. So we're working on that. Really, the only other thing to highlight, I attended for the first time the Public Health Systems Group meeting in Topeka. That's looking at the public health system across the entire state of Kansas and really how can we be supportive of us locals? What support do we need moving forward with modernization? So very interesting conversations to be had there. And again, we're working legislatively for funding for health department that hasn't seen an increase since '92. So cash-wise, we're looking pretty good for the end of this year. So very pleased with that. It just means we'll have more carryover next time, but that's okay. So things are going well otherwise.
Is that pretty close to what you had a year ago?
I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look on that, but I'd be glad to do that for you. So, any other questions?
Any questions for Lindsay?
Is this public health in Kansas, is that kind of an extension of what you were doing at Linden?
Yes, it is.
Just a step up?
It is. It's actually, how can we take that from a pilot project to more in practice across the rest of the state? What supports do we need to make that happen? So,
And that's the meeting you had up there about a year ago, wasn't it?
yeah.
It's been some time since.
It has
Okay.
been some time, yeah. So, I do have one more thing. It's about county wellness. I'd really like your input on this, or actually the wellness committee asked me to get your input on this. So we are having, instead of decorating offices like we did last year, we're going to do tables instead downstairs. There'll be a theme of like Christmas song. and you decorate the table and have food available that goes with your song. So we're wondering, do you want that to come out of our own pockets personally? Do you want that to come out of, budget in our departments, or would you rather wellness cover that? So we're setting the guidelines, and we wanna know how you would like us to proceed with that.
You're gonna be setting tables up in the conference room
Downstairs,
for how long period?
it's for
They'll be set up for 1 week?
one
or-
day, just
One
one
day
day,
only?
one day, yeah. And we'll have food there, we'll have judges come in and judge everything, and then, so, if you'd rather it be out of pocket, we're completely fine with that. We just wanna know what to put in the guidelines, so it's the same for everybody.
Wellness should have enough in their budget to cover it. We were talking like maybe like $50.
I wouldn't think it'd be a lot, and I'd rather not see it come out of your individual pockets when you're talking about a insignificant amount.
A set amount per
Yeah.
department.
Yeah, if we come out like $50 per apartment and come out of wellness, we should have enough money to cover that in wellness.
Will
Okay,
that work for you,
If they wanna
Lindsay?
go beyond the
that's
50,
fine.
and bring it out of their own
That's
pockets.
fine.
Right,
that's
yeah.
good with everyone. Okay, okay,
Consensus, commission, $50.
okay.
If $50 is enough, I mean, don't go very far anymore.
It doesn't have to be elaborate, and everyone comes in and eats, as far as employees, it's not open to the public so far.
Okay.
All right, I'll take that back to them then.
Anything else for Lindsay?
All right,
I do appreciate your highlighting some items that are not commonly there.
yeah,
We'll probably put a little more emphasis on them, because we
Sure.
know it's something probably special, so.
sure, I can do that. All right, thank you guys so much, have a good day and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank
Week
you.
late. Veterans Day.
You're one too.
You must be Jerry Hu, because
Did we have Don?
You're one,
Excuse me, we did pass the,
Yeah, we did.
did we?
yeah, you moved, Fred second.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right,
You must be Jerry Hu.
Gentlemen and stuff, ladies, I heard a rumor that you people donated some money to the honor flight this past go-around. And if that is true, this is one veteran who made that flight, who would very, very much like to thank you personally for making that. I know there was two or three of us, after visiting the wall, felt a heck of a lot better, dumped some stuff there, and a few other things. Again, I'm here personally to thank you if you donated any money. Every one of those vets enjoyed it, and I especially enjoyed in Bill when we landed back into Kansas City, that homecoming we got. A lot of us Vietnam vets did not get anything like that, and we were surprised. So, if there's any questions or anything, that's the reason I'm only here, to take up a few minutes of your time to say, again, thank you.
Jerry, I might add just a little bit about it, because I'm involved in it a little bit with raising funds
Right.
through our lodge. But yeah, the commission did send $2,500 down
Right.
to the school. The veteran my granddaughter represented was Ron Burris from Colony. He's a Vietnam veteran, just like you are, and he had lots and lots of problems and some issues at the wall. But for 50 years, he has never, ever slept all night, waking up 3 to 5 times
Right.
every night. He was down at the auto Walmart the other Saturday when I was there selling tickets. And since he's gotten home, he has never woke up at all at night. Wakes up 7:30, 8 o'clock every morning. Now, what's made that change in that particular veteran? You know, I don't know, and I don't know whether anybody knows or not. But we appreciate you being a veteran, appreciate you coming forward.
Mhm.
So,
He, at the Leroy Veterans Day, he did come up to that and stated that.
he spoke Friday. He spoke at the Veterans Day.
Correct. Plus, he donated his Vietnam medal to the school, and that deal like that. But I also came back a little bit, feeling a little better myself, even though I didn't see as much action or anything like some of these other guys. I was sent there to do a particular job, and I did it the best way I could. So, like you said and stuff, every veteran got something out of it, and I have to admit, these Coffee County kids really surprised the heck out of me. They took their job very seriously as helping us vets around and making sure that we got got on that plane right. If we dropped something, they were there to pick it up before we even had a chance to pick it up, and things like that. But again, thank you very much. And I'll let you get
Coming in.
your...
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for your service.
Okay. I'll let you guys go.
Have,
Thank you.
have a nice holiday season, Jerry.
Right.
Denise, is Angie ready for the canvassing?
I'll go check.
Nice,
I'm sorry?
that was really nice.
I'm not sure how many veterans is at the service Monday at SEC, but there was quite a number of veterans there. Some of them have been on the last flight, and some of them have been on the previous 3, 4, 5 flights.
She'll be here momentarily.
I'm sorry?
She'll be here momentarily. She's gathering up all her paperwork.
Okay.
Morning, Mark. I should have worn my home shirt today, huh? You know, I never watched football till him. Now I watch every game that I'm home for.
If you want to start before the time we have posted, or it's 9:30, I mean, it'd be just a couple minutes.
Okay, I didn't know what the rules were. We're not supposed to start before
We have
time
to do
set.
it before 10 o'clock, and,
Okay.
but if we posted it in the agenda and newspaper, I think we probably should wait till 9:30.
So if that's the case, it's posted at 9:30.
Okay, so if you have a motion to make or something else, you know, you could do that. And
Well, our next part of the agenda is Wayne, and he's not here yet, so. We've got some documents here we need to look at, sign, so we'll take a look at, we'll spend 2 or 3 minutes on catching some of our documents up.
Do we have to go out of session here and
I
enter?
can, yeah.
Do you
I
have
just
permission?
signed
Okay,
one
good.
for that one.
Oh, did ya?
It's in here.
Oh, okay.
That may be the.
Ready?
Still got it.
Okay, are those done?
I haven't signed
Okay.
checks yet.
And wait here, if we're not ready.
Okay, we're ready, and it's 9:30.
Okay, so, I'll give you each a packet,
We have to move to go into.
yes, I've got that for you.
Okay.
So just so you know, the County Board of Canvassers, which is composed of the members of the Board of County Commissioners, they are the ones that conduct the final canvass in local elections, and since you guys are new, I thought I would explain that. So, give you a copy of the packet you'll have, and then the motions that you'll need to make also for this. Can you write that down? And then I have a packet for what counting the canvas, or counting the provisional, sorry about that. These are the instructions on that. I gave you two.
No, two.
So if you go ahead with your motion to go
Okay.
into.
Angie's given us some motions here to take care of the canvassing. Move to convene as a board of canvassers to canvass the results of the November 5th, 2019 general election at 9 a.m.
9:30.
9:30.
I'm sorry?
9:30.
Okay, I'm sorry. Entertain a motion.
Make that motion.
Cody made the motion, second.
Second.
Bob, second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0.
Okay, and so a little more instruction. Once we're done with the canvass, I will send an abstract of the county election results to the Secretary of State's office where the figures are tabulated in preparation for the state's final canvass, and mainly in this case, it will be for the constitutional amendment because the local races, they don't canvass that. So up to this point, I have prepared the tabulated results and grouped all the provisional ballots, any challenge ballots, and issues like that for you guys. So at this time, I will go through the packet with you, and then in the end, we will certify and sign all documents, all poll books, and then we'll run provisionals through and get a total count on everything when that's done. So if you look at your second page there, you might want to set that aside for a moment. The one I want to talk to you about first are the provisional ballots and the document I gave you on election standards that shows what may or may not count. So at this time, I've determined that 16 of these ballots that are provisional should count. And if we look at the first one, in-county move, the voter was already registered, they voted their correct precinct. Typically, this is going to fall under number 3 on your page, if you look at the bottom, it's page 3 of your second, it's the second page there. So number 3 shows you the statute that would correspond to this reason. And as we go down, new registered, not registered in Coffee County, that I think falls on page, yeah, that's page 2, number 7, voter was not registered. So we have gone through each of these, and we can go down each individual one if you'd like to, or if you're comfortable with the in-county move. Most of them are in-county move. They were already registered, voted correct precinct. And then there's 5 that we say should not count. Like I said, new registrant was 1, well, 2, 3, 4. 1 was voted the wrong county. The individual rode his bicycle from Greenwood County and demanded to vote in Coffee County. And we're not allowed to deny any voter the right to vote, but that is one that will not count. So, and the rest are pretty explanatory, the same. In-county move already registered. So if you are okay with that, we can go ahead with the next motion of accepting 16 provisional ballots.
Upon the recommendation of the county election officer, move to accept 16 provisional ballots and reject 5 provisional ballots. Consistent with state statutes, and the provisional vote totals will be added to the appropriate races.
I'll move.
Fred has moved, entertain a second.
I'll second.
Bob a second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0.
Okay, let me give you one moment so I can tell them to go ahead and start running those
Okay.
through so I can get the totals for you. Okay, I presented to you a balance sheet on each of the polling locations, the mail-outs, and the in-house advance voting. And, for example, if we take a look at the report that says summary results report, oh, that's not the right one. Hold on a second. Let me look at this. Is that what you have, summary results?
So it's listed as page 1 of 21,
Right.
highlighted
by
as
precinct.
summary results
Okay.
report 2019 city school
Right.
general election.
Okay, hold on just a minute. I think I've got you in this. I need the summary, the other summary report, because that's not showing you, this is total. Oh, wait, no, down below. Okay, so, yeah, the very first page, advanced, EV, which is express vote, there were 100. And this is the report that comes straight out of our election software after they were read in. And so if you look at the balance sheet on that, and you also look at advance, there is a report here for the advance. I'll have to get that one for you, I think. Not in here. Oh, wait, it's in this packet, okay. So on the advanced poll book, there were 100. And on the machines, we had one paper ballot. So, that is on the advanced TV. So you can verify that when you look at that report. And if you guys can sign that to
We need
verify.
to just sign across it any place.
Just down there on the line, that you're certifying that you're, because we're comparing this summary report with the balance sheet with the poll vote. And let me grab that other one. Okay, we're gonna skip the mail out for 1 second. Let's go to, on the balance sheet, we're looking at Kelly Hall. And there were 242 on the express vote, and there was one paper, so. Verify that.
Yeah, that's, oh, we're down here.
Next one is Gridley. Do you want me to wait until you get through them all, or do you?
You're fine.
The next
Me
one,
anyway.
Thank you, Jeff.
one would be Gridley. with 146, and there were no paper on that one, so it just matched perfectly with the machine, so. If we back up to the mail out,
Okay,
we had 57 that ran through the DS200 machine. 3 would not, so we had to hand count those, and I've got a hand count sheet here you will see. So the total of that was 60, and that's what we accepted back into our Elvis system. You'll see 60 as the number right there.
okay.
And you can just find at the bottom of that anywhere too.
Is there a specific place to sign on that, or
Just the back page is
Just
fine.
any place?
Uh-huh. That's how that report prints out, so.
I noticed you had almost 25% turnout.
We did.
That is, to me, probably surprisingly good.
It is, when a lot of other places had 16 or less, so.
I thought that 25% was really good.
There were some issues that must have been interesting, so. The next one is Lebo Community Building. We had no paper there, so for election day. And the total was 302. And it does match with that report also. And then Leroy Community Building ended up being 195 electors at that polling location, and that also matches with our.
Noticed you had 5 machines in Leroy. How many machines do we have totally throughout the county, which is
30.
not important, I'm just curious.
35.
35.
2 in here for advance, and then there's about 5 at every other location except Burlington, they have 8. The next one would be New Strine. There were 176 electors at that location and no paper. Then at the Waverly Community Building, we had 238 that voted the express votes with 2 papers, so a total of 240. You can see that on this report as well. And then these were the poll books for the advance of the mail outs for, that adds up to the 60 also. So a election board that comes in and they write down all the mail outs, and so that's
Okay.
also,
Where do we sign off on this?
just on the back there, yeah.
You know, there's clerks and judges.
Judges, here, if you want to. These were the 3 hand counts. We have to run 2 2 hand count reports, so that nothing's missed. You can just sign on the back page or the front here if you'd
Just
like.
sign over here. But
Yeah, but you can see there's
Yeah.
2, and then the third one, just keep flipping, you'll see the third one in there too.
You see Donald Duck, I voted in.
I seen Donald Duck too, that's what I showed Cody.
He always gets one.
Well, I'd always heard Mickey Mouse was the largest write-in, but I think Donald Duck beat him this year.
And anyone else always gets a ride in there too, or any other clown.
Bugs Bunny's in there also.
Yeah.
These are the advanced write-ins.
And
We have
that's
to pull those off. If there was a paper ballot, we wrote those down and keep track of those. There's not gonna be very many of those, so.
All this special paper, special color, special data sheets, whatever they are. When we purchased the voting machines, you've got an individual computer that is totally designated for all this, right?
It's separate from my work computer. It's, the software, everything is standalone. It cannot be connected to the internet. And so, just to ensure security.
And that's what you did 3 or 4 days of training on here a couple of months ago, but included in that.
At this time, we did not have any issues that needed to be resolved with the Canvas board, so that was positive this time. The new equipment also helps with balancing and kind of knowing what might have happened in previous years before we had the equipment. It was a puzzle to try to figure out what happened at the polling location when it got back here, and so it kind of helps eliminate that guessing game, so.
I know they were very convenient to use this year, extremely convenient.
Okay, and then the last thing I needed to talk to you guys about was the legislature passed a statute saying that all election officers have to perform a post-election audit report. And the statute says that we have to put all precincts in a basket or hat to draw one precinct out or 1 to 2 precincts, but definitely 2 races. So if you can get, when you draw, if both races happen to fall on one ballot or one precinct, then you're okay, you can use that one precinct. But if both don't, then you have to use 2 different precincts to count. So the last sheet there I have for you, you'll see we have 2 precincts, We had to use Pleasant Township for 252 and Star Township for 365 school district. That's what was drawn. The drawing was held last Wednesday by the board that came in to do the audit, and then they had to come back on Thursday to perform the audit. The paper ballots that went into the machine were what was actually used to tabulate, and it was great that everything matched up perfectly. The races, like I said, was only supposed to be 2 races. We ended up doing 8 races, but you can do more, but the statute says just 2. So as you can see, those numbers matched up perfectly, and those will be sent off to the Secretary of State, and so, but we will have to do that every election from now on, so. At this point, I need to go and take care of the provisionals and get those added to the totals, and then I can present you with totals reports after that. So if you want to recess at this time.
At this time, move to recess.
Unless you have any.
I didn't get a pleasant.
Oh, you did not? Okay, well, here, you can have mine, because I found another one in there. Sorry about that.
Move to recess as a Board of Canvassers and reconvene as a Board of County Commissioners at 9:51.
I'll move.
Bob has moved. Entertain a second.
Second.
Cody second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I mean, no, I'm sorry.
Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, so I will return K-9, and we will continue on with the rest.
Okay, so we can go into other business
Yep.
now, correct?
Yes, you can. Mhm.
Can I take those?
Pardon?
I'm done with 2 cans, I thought. Yeah, well, I just lost that.
They're stuck together.
Still need to go
I have,
through? Okay.
yeah, I need to get
Okay.
these
Okay.
around. We'll do some of that during the break.
Okay.
Jeff, we're ready for the engineer's report.
Jeffrey, welcome.
Since you're on election, back when I turned 18, my mom, she was kind of politically educated, or she used like to help with the elections and stuff. She thought it was really important when I turned 18 that I go vote, but I didn't educate myself on anything. She left me a note that morning, she was already gone, and said, vote wisely. So I get to the polls and I'm trying to vote, and I cannot find a wisely on my ballot.
Did you vote?
I did vote, but not for wisely. Got home, so I couldn't find that guy, Mom. She goes, you're an idiot, son. Hadn't changed much either. Vote wisely. I did. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning, Jeff.
One road permit here, which I believe the work's done, but went through proper chains to get that done. One zoning permit, which I know nothing about zoning, but if you got any questions, I can get an answer for you.
Do you have any questions on the zoning thing? Looks like the Wesley and Lindsay Rudolph. Is Wes still the trooper working out at Topeka?
You know what, I don't know.
I
The
think-
last I knew he was.
He's in Wichita, or was in Wichita, and I think he's transferred to Topeka now, so he's evidently purchased some property to put a structure on.
Probably getting close to retirement age.
No.
Oh, yeah. No?
There's a couple of them.
Isn't he about my age?
Well, which two?
In the 50s.
76. He'd been mid-50s.
But I mean, he started when he was,
Well, I'm sure he's eligible for retirement. I bet he's qualified.
yeah, there's two different things there. If you retire with a younger age, yes.
I'm not sure on Wes.
Yeah.
He'd be in the mid-50s, I'm sure. What else you got for us, Jeff?
I didn't really go over the construction zone. I guess that got passed around. I feel like we're getting a lot of bonus work done right now. We got kind of hosed last winter and spring, but a lot of good stuff going on right now. So, that's all there if there's any questions. And then there's a couple of motions. One's for, doing some insurance work on our north shop doors from the hailstorm. I did get a lot from this from Wayne before he left, but my understanding is the insurance, recommended this company. They'd come down and give us a price to fix our doors and window.
How bad were the doors?
Well, they're pretty messed up.
Are they?
Two of them, broke the windows out, of the shop doors. And then, you know, as we were looking at it, I guess our doors are so old that you can't even get those kind of windows anymore. And then the break room window got busted clear. The double pane, but the outside pane got broke. So, and they're beat up.
Time to change them out.
It is really, I mean, we just did a bunch of work on all of our garage doors. The building was built in 1985. So we just went through, done a whole bunch of work to them.
Denise, is this correct? We only have one deductible for all this stuff
I believe so.
that's going on in the county, so, okay.
Kind of what I'd understood, Bob, but I wasn't real positive either, so.
But this one was a later, this was a
Was it a
different
later
event.
storm?
Yeah.
Then it's a new
It'd be a new
deductible.
deductible, it's a different storm.
Different storm.
Okay. So
That's,
this
when
was
you have
probably
one
the last
deductible
one.
like that, it's per
Is that
occurrence.
right?
So when you have a new occurrence, it's a new
It will be tied in with our trucks, you know, we're getting a bunch of trucks fixed too.
The trucks were in the other first storm, weren't they?
Well, some were both. I'm just thinking of when both.
I think it was the same one on our,
Other buildings down there south of it, I know, that last storm took out their garage doors on the north side of the building as well.
on some of our stuff? Or-
No, separate building
Oh.
just south of you guys.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
but it was,
You know, it could be like my roof. I mean, they said it wasn't necessarily that last storm that come through, just multiple over the years. And
Culmination.
I was lucky enough, storm come through, so I got a roof. And some of the cell damage was previous.
We've had our share of storms this year, we've had a lot of streaks, number of storms, so we're probably lucky maybe we don't have any more issues than what we have.
Yeah.
Jeff's got a motion for us, 2019-49, based upon the recommendation of the county engineer and approval of the county attorney to waive the purchasing policy as to competitive bidding for good cause, said cause being hail damage adjustments of property by EMC Insurance for 3 overhead doors and 1 sliding window replacement at the county shop from Heartland Door and Window, with a bid amount not to exceed $11,943. EMC Insurance has approved Heartland Door and Window as the provider of services in the adjustment of value of damage and repair per policy. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Tom has moved, entertain a second.
second.
Cody is second, any discussion?
Is this, an approval of the county attorney as to form, or is the county attorney approving? Usually the county attorney approves the motion as to form.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
I can't answer that,
That should
Tom.
be
They should say county attorney, approval of the county attorney as to form, and then comment to waive the purchasing cost.
As to form,
As to
That's the
form,
way it
Okay.
usually is.
Yeah.
okay,
because he's not really approving the motion, he's just proving that it's a proper way of doing it.
okay. Tom moved and Cody second. That's agreeable with you to add those 3 words in there?
Yes.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
The other motion is we're looking to, finish up our equipment for the year.
Can we back up a minute? I have a question on this. It says with the bid amount, okay, bid amount not to exceed 11,000, that's total. Should it not say that with the insurance, not looking at 11,000, are we? We're only paying what, the 5,000 deductible?
Or it could be 2,500. We got
Or
some different
2,500.
deductibles. We got some
So-
different deductibles too.
So really, it shouldn't this say that the, with not to exceed 2,500 or 5,000, which our deductible is, it says 11,000, which is the total?
No, because we would've got a check from ENC,
They're sending checks to us, we deposit them and we pay
and
it
then
out.
we pay.
Oh,
them.
okay,
Still do
okay.
the work.
All right.
That part of it, I think, has already been taken care of.
Okay.
Probably.
All right, okay.
Next motion that Jeff has for us, 2019-50, based on recommendation of the county engineer. Move to approve the county engineer's request to solicit formal bids for 1 mowing tractor for best bid. Funds to be paid from Public Works equipment line item. Is there a trade-in involved in this one?
We're looking at that on as we speak. Yeah, we've got a TR-19, it's a 2001 John Deere 6410, has 9,393 hours on it. We're looking at all options.
With that being said, do we need to wait a week and change this motion a
Well,
little bit?
that was discussed in the office. I mean, we called and visited with Wayne a little bit, this morning on it. I told him last week when he put this motion together that we would probably have a trade-in, and it was kinda up in the air how that should read, so if you wanna table it till next week, that was another option he can give us.
But if we have a
The attorney can
trade-in,
make-
we have to say who we're trading with.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
they haven't taken bids, we have no idea who they're gonna be dealing with.
Yeah.
And that was some of the verbiage that we were struggling with a little bit,
So, I mean, they can take bids with or without a trade-in, and then,
Yeah.
added in the.
the motion, of course, we can make a
So they
motion,
have-
and still have to wait until they can take action.
However, the commission wants to work on this.
Yeah. We can't take action again anyway. I mean,
Right.
this just gives us to get this just gives us permission to search for bids.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Cody has moved. Entertain a second.
Second.
Tom a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
Any other questions for me?
What's our policy on culverts that are plugged? Do we clean them out?
We sure try to. Yeah.
It's our responsibility to clean them out.
Yes.
I was informed that at 23rd and Emmer, approximately, at the top of the hill, there's a residence there that's got a plugged culvert, it's washing over the top of it.
In their driveway.
Apparently it's washed over the top of it and washed a lot of the gravel off.
We're seeing a lot of that right now, so no problem. We'll take a look at it, see what we can do. There's so much of this, I don't know if we can just get right on it.
I know.
We'll get it on the list.
So there's no panic, I mean, it's just,
Yep, we'll look at it. That's our job.
That low water crossing bridge on Second Road, down south of me a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
they put a 2-foot tin whistle underneath the concrete, or what, and it's plugged, but I wouldn't worry about cleaning it out, 'cause you clean it out, it's gonna be plugged in.
Plugged in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thought is,
Is it brush mainly?
dirt.
Dirt.
Straight dirt.
Sure, dirt.
When the river backed up, it was pushing everything to the south through that, and when it came back, it just,
Brought it back.
that whole thing may be plugged.
Yeah.
There's no reason to clean it.
Everything else worked pretty good.
Working great, everything's going over the top. We've had some logs left on top.
Yeah, we'll see some of that.
Anything else for Jeff?
23rd.
Yeah, you said 23rd, Nimmer?
So it's top of the hill.
Okay.
Anything else for Jeff? Thanks for coming in, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Thanks for giving us that date.
I think there's a department head meeting at 11?
Yes. And we're pretty well on time. We're
Hang around again.
pretty well on time. We'll take a short break here.
Lunch is on me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, what are you up to, John?
They're taking a short break.
Okay.
What am I forgetting?
Finish up here.
Okay. No, I forgot.
You better take advantage.
Yeah, I will. How are you?
Good.
What's up, Big Jeff?
Hey, how you doing?
All right, well, you all have a good day.
Well, okay. Happy Monday to you too, man. This is a real shit kicker. Oh, just there you go. I need to go back through the dates and stuff on that. See what they want to do here.
Is this thing still on, or did they shut it off on break?
It's still on. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Hi, Donna.
How are you, Mike?
Good, how are you? It's your birthday? Hey, I figured out that paperwork.
The 11th.
Kenny brought it up to me, and I'm like,
What are you, 30 now?
So what he did is.
35.
35.
Kenny said we're using the old sheets, so what I'm gonna do.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with 35.
It was on our application. 35 looks really good.
I'm telling you, 35 wouldn't look too damn bad.
Just gonna be where they need to go.
Okay, yeah.
So, I had no idea.
Some years
So
ago.
now,
Yeah.
and so I did some checking on it, and Kenny brought it up, and they said, calls.
But you know what? Every year you have a birthday, that means you're still alive, kicking.
Oh, okay, good.
Just overrated.
Good deal.
What's that?
Being alive and kicking.
Oh, being alive and kicking?
I hope those.
Depends on where you're at, you know?
I put them in the refrigerator.
Depends on where you're at in life.
That's right.
No, that's just a
Yes.
lot of love.
Yay.
It's just love.
Yeah.
Just spreading the love.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Cody.
Thank you.
Figure out the sign, our sign,
Let's see if they intend to.
yeah, they called it around here.
35.
Very long.
I'm sorry?
It won't take very long to finish.
Obviously, it's gonna be taken care of. Must be.
Yeah, things have went pretty smooth so far.
Hitting my job. Those things somehow.
I inherited quite a few from him.
But I think
You
you
guys can use my other.
Tell you what, I use it most of them.
With their layout.
where they chip in, to me, Trenner, they, two of their horn about big jails, where they chip in and focus more on the smaller facilities and what they've done.
Did you take that thing?
Presentation.
Yeah.
Presentation was a lot clearer.
A lot better.
Oh, I might not.
Make sure
Did you give it
Do you need one?
Here it is.
Say
No,
no,
I got it.
Goldberg, I just don't know much about
He's
them.
panicking.
Now, the only thing I'll say that I wasn't impressed is, Goldberg actually did have a criminologist on their staff.
Excuse me.
Others didn't.
Out there in Wichita, we might call it.
Administrator, something like that, that could be involved in communicating with the customer.
Maybe not quite that long.
Listen to what the customer wants, and then use that to apply common sense. Whereas Goldberg did at least
Okay,
have a guy that was retired.
We're gonna go ahead and reconvene here, and the mic will pick up everything, so move to reconvene as a board of canvassers at 10:10.
I'll make the motion.
Probably should have asked.
I'll
Okay,
second.
second.
Did
Any
you do that,
discussion?
Bob?
Yes, second.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carried 5-0.
Okay, so I will hand you out a report showing the provisionals have been added to the totals. You will see, this is a short, just a summary page. I've got a total report I'll have you all sign. In the far right column is the provisional count of 16. It's increased from 462 to 478 now. So that's been done. So if you would just sign on the front there that you go ahead and have you guys just initial on these audits also. If you'd like to do it on the back page, that way you have witnessed the.
Just initial this one?
Yeah.
Everything's been signed, we just need to certify the results.
Yeah, unless you have any other questions of me.
Anybody have any questions for Angie? If not, move to certify the results of the canvas board. Entertain a motion.
I'll move.
Fred moved. Entertain a second. I'll second it. I have done that today. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. Move to adjourn the canvas board at 10:13 a.m. and reconvene as a Board of County Commissioners.
I'll move.
Bob has moved. Entertain a second.
Second.
Tom is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. Thanks, Angie.
Are you here now?
Randy?
Yeah.
We're not running too far behind on the schedule, so you're here to discuss the salary for jail
The jail
study
study.
proposals.
Yeah, you know, this last, I think it was spring, we were talking about the jail situation or overtime, and so what we did was we did go ahead and put together, requests for qualifications of, architectural firms, et cetera, that deal with jail operations, and we started setting some target dates. And so we did have 3 firms respond to us, and I have that. I'm going to leave this book with you guys. That 2 of the companies I'm familiar with, one's Trenner Architects, the other's HMN Architects, and the third one I'm not familiar with, Goldberg Group. I wasn't familiar with them, but they have worked here in Kansas substantially. And so, with that in mind, we did put it together, and I guess at this point, I wanted to come to the commission to say, are we gonna, continue baby steps and moving forward? If so, then the next step would be to interview these 3 companies to see if one of these 3 companies we would be interested in working together with on a jail study. And so I feel like put that into the commission's hands, since you guys are the legislative body or the governing body that will make those decisions. So I didn't know if I figured you guys would want time to review the 3 companies, and so there are some target dates in there to shoot for in December, but they're just target dates. Obviously, we had to put some dates, to keep it moving along, so we did it on a short leash there once we started this process. So I just wanted to update the commission on that and see if it's something. Then I guess I'd give you a couple of weeks and come back and say, do we want to set some dates then to interview these 3 companies? If so, who's going to do it? How are we going to do it?
The discussions you've had with these, has it been on a remodeling of what we currently have? Or take a serious look at doing something new?
I thought it was like an audit where they would make a recommendation of what was...
Exactly. That's what we told them, that we wanted them to look at our current jail.
I didn't know exactly how much detail you'd asked them for, so.
We had told them, and they came here, all 3 companies came here back in September 12th. Around that date, all 3 companies were present for a kind of a walkthrough. And then what we told them then was, you tell us. I mean, you guys know the market, you know the legalities, that's why you have these, and then tell us, are we fine with what we got? Do we fix what we got? Do we add on to what we got, or do we scrap what we got, basically? And that's for them to identify the positives, the negatives, and everything, and then come back with proposals.
They give you an idea, ask them for their evaluation on what their cost might be?
We didn't
Any
ask
idea
them.
at all?
Yeah, we didn't ask them that detail. We did require them, and I think you'll find as you go through the book, a number of different projects that each one has done over time. And if you look, they provided the dates and then the cost estimates and how well they stayed on budget and with their bids and all that. So it kind of gives you an idea anyway as to different size facilities that they've done and stuff. Some have done, really small projects and all the way up to, prison systems. So I think all 3 are fine. All 3 are good companies. Again, Goldberg I'm not as familiar with, but they seem to be on target with having done a lot of projects here in Kansas. So, but other than that, I have gone through all of them and stuff, and so in review, and we did review them and as to credibility and stuff, and then wanted to turn it over to the commission to review and take a look at, and that way, if we wanted to continue with one of them or interviewing all 3 of them, the commission may identify one and then it'd be up to what's it going to cost us for a jail study at that point.
Okay.
So, other than that,
Since we haven't interviewed anybody, you haven't done any reference checking, probably at all, have you, Randy?
just very
Although
minimum.
you've got a lot of friends out there in the sheriff's departments.
With the HMN and Trenner, those that have worked with them both said they're good companies. Goldberg, I have not yet, other than I did, which one was it? Bourbon County, I believe. And Bourbon had mostly good things to say about them. Obviously, you know, well, I wish we would've done that, or we wish, you know, yeah, Bourbon County Law Enforcement Center down at Fort Scott, is who they did. I did not call Lynn County, though. They did Lynn County. And I just have not, I think Lynn County, though, they're still, in the process of actually deciding what they're gonna do. I don't know that they've actually moved to that next step yet, so, but, so I have done some reference checking, but very limited and stuff. I wanted to give,
But once we review everything you put together and discovered, and at that time, you know, we can make a choice to go with
Yep.
one or two.
Yeah.
And it'd probably be best to go with at least two.
Yep.
Because that's how we did the salary study, we
Right.
narrowed it down to 2 out of 5.
there you go.
And we'll work on that today a little bit, but
Okay.
at that time, then we can do the reference
Yeah.
checking too.
Yeah. And if you, in the meantime, if as you're going through the book, you have questions or
We
anything,
can always come
holler
to-
at me or Tasha. She worked pretty diligently on this and stuff with Wade and stuff to make sure that, you know, that we were asking the right, on the request for qualifications and stuff to make sure it's accurate. So I shall leave the book with you. They made it Randy proof. They put it in page protectors. So they made it Randy proof.
Anybody have any questions or suggestions? Any questions for Randy?
But, and if you need us to do anything else, let us know, and we'll be glad to do it.
Okay.
All right.
Appreciate you coming in, Randy. We look
Thank you.
forward to looking through it.
All right, thanks.
Well, we're at 10:21. Department head meeting is set up at 11. Probably no way to expedite that and move it up, is there? Yeah. We got our Wolf Creek drill tomorrow. It is Matt, isn't it?
Yes.
Hadn't seen you since ball games.
Yeah.
It's been a ways
while.
back since we had softball with your kids and my grandkids, so. Do you have anything that we need to be looking at for tomorrow, Matt? Is everything on
It's on
schedule
should
to
be
take place tomorrow?
pretty similar to the rest of the pre-exercises. We just wanted to do another one after we got out of outage, since there was a big gap since when we prepared for the original drill that was supposed to be in June to now. So we'll hopefully see everything working good. If not, we'll make some tune-ups and be ready for the drill in December.
Okay.
Good, and we've been out of outage for not quite 2 weeks now, so the plant's up, running good.
Outage go well?
It did, we were scheduled originally for 42 days, I think it took 47 days.
I'd heard that it was an extra 3, 4, 5 days.
Yeah, which is pretty good. I mean, it was a big machine to take apart, put back together, so a lot of people did a lot of good work.
Okay. Target time tomorrow for the commission. Bob, you're going to New Strawn.
I'm coming here first.
You're coming here first. Fred's going on up to Topeka.
What time's the drill scheduled?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Do we have a time scheduled on it, 8:30, 9?
8-ish is when it typically starts.
I'm sorry?
8-ish is when the drill typically starts.
Okay.
So there shouldn't be a deviation from that.
So you call as usual?
Yep.
Yep, call as usual. I know we got a couple things on that we didn't make any final decisions on last week, so I asked Donna if Wade was in. So I know Wade has got a couple things to visit about.
You might be, we're doing, county road and bridge training.
I'm sorry?
We're doing county road and bridge training today.
Okay.
You might be down there doing that. Done?
Denise, are you aware of anything that needs to come before the commission today?
Nope. Don't forget the Thanksgiving dinner is Friday.
And that starts at
11:30.
11:30.
Courthouse will be closed between 11:30 and 1. Signs are going up on the door today.
And there's a crew assigned to setting up the tables and chairs.
Yeah, we usually take care of
I'm
that.
sorry?
We usually take care of that with Barb and,
Okay. So it'd be great to have all our employees
and sometimes they bring spouses.
and bring spouses or significant others.
Yes,
Okay.
to have turkey together.
Fred, do you have anything that, and we can come back round table later, do you have anything to come before the commission that you're aware of?
I think so.
Tom, do you have anything?
I'm working a little harder on prescription possibly for, I guess, I'll back up. My thought process, I guess, on replacing the economic development director. When I went to the Southeast Kansas Planning Board, Matt down there said that the city of Chanute has a developmental director, not economic development, developmental director. That person is in charge of economic development as well as property management enforcement codes. He said which goes hand in hand for them and the city of Chanute, so.
How long have they had that person doing both those responsibilities?
I did not ask that question. They said it works quite well because economic development and property maintenance goes hand in hand, so.
That handout that you passed out here a couple of weeks ago, like I mentioned last week at KC, I hadn't taken the opportunity to look through that yet.
There's a lot to all of it. I mean, I have more, but I'd really like to sit down and go through and educate myself a little bit more before I speak a whole lot more, but I just, again, you know, at the meeting we had with the engineers, helping cities look for projects, you know. Again, I mean, there's a lot of people that live in the county that don't work here. I mean, that was evident that night of that meeting. So, I mean, to get more to move into our county, into our cities are our infrastructure as far as the county as a whole, so as long as we help them look presentable, I think if we get more people moving this way, this is exactly what we're gonna need as Wolf Creek phases out.
I haven't talked to Rhonda for 3 or 4 weeks. Is she aware of anything that we need to be on top of? And I know you kind of visit with her
With
once
the
a
housing
week.
authority?
Yeah. Bill on economic development.
Rhonda.
Oh, yes,
Rhonda.
Rhonda and I speak with her every Monday morning.
I know you talked to her and I haven't done that.
Every Monday morning.
Is she aware of anything that we need to be maybe a little more aggressive on or on top of?
Not at this point, but I did ask, you know, one of the last meetings, if it was okay if I contact some of these companies on the list that she's getting presented with, and I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet, but that's my next goal.
Okay.
Other than that,
Bob, you have anything come for the commission?
No.
Cody?
Nope.
The only thing I have, you know, is just to, Wade needs to be involved in is, you know, the tax on, the residency of Steve Cox, we need to make a decision on. And I know Wade was still doing some discovery on that, and then the salary study. And I'm sure, Wade's got some information to, bring forward on it. I'm gonna step out and see how quick Wade is gonna be available.
What was the special question in Levo City in the election?
1% sales tax.
Yeah, on to support the swimming pool.
Some results were close, some were landslides, weren't they?
They don't charge us for the use of the community building, do they?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think they shouldn't. I just want to check with them.
Yeah.
This yours, please.
You can have it if you want it.
Well, it'd be the way they They're good cupcakes. I'll apologize for a short delay, but our department heads don't come in until about 11 o'clock. We pretty well, I didn't ask Donna, do you have anything for roundtable at this time, Donna?
No, just the Thanksgiving luncheon, which I'm sure you were already
Yeah.
agreed on.
Our Thanksgiving dinner's at 10, or 11:30 Fridays. That's 4-H building. What do you have for us in roundtable, Wade?
My main roundtable I'll reserve until next week. I do need to actually grab some paperwork. Am I the last? Or we've already gone around and...
Yeah, we didn't have too much to come before the roundtable today.
Okay.
I still have something.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Killing time waiting for department heads.
Yeah.
So maybe we pass off and then I can grab my additional paperwork and Angie can take care of her roundtable issue or topic.
Okay. Angie, what do you have for roundtable?
Well, every year I try to give you guys a updated form on the yearly valuations and how it affects the county and what Wolf Creek's valuation is and the percent that they provide tax base to the county. So that's what I'm handing out here for you now. This was dated back to 2000 to current, so. What?
Any more?
Oh, well, here.
We're short.
I can print off some more. Oh, it's okay. If you look across the total county assessed value, the dollars generated from the total county assessed value, and then year-to-date increase or decrease in the total county value from year to year, the current county mill levy, difference in the mill levy from year to year, Wolf Creek's total assessed value, the mill levy for Wolf Creek, and then the dollars generated, and the county's portion of the dollars generated of that, and then the percentage. So that's just an FYI. I try to give you that every year so that you can kind of see how it's figured and where monies are coming from, so.
I remember we looked at this last year. Of course, last year, county assessed value, dropped down by about $7 million. So therefore, we did have a slight increase in the mill levy to maintain, since we're under the tax lid. Wolf Creek percentage of the county valuation is, 83.8%, and that's been somewhat in the neighborhood of where it's been, between 83, 85, so. Anybody have any questions for Angie on this spreadsheet that she just passed out? You have anything else, Angie, you need to bring before the commission?
Oh, just one thing I wanted to mention, the patio out front, a week ago, the contractor who stained that and put the glass on it, he was here on Saturday, the weather was nice, and so it ended up being too chalky, I guess. when they did it last fall, and so finally I got him back to get that, so it looks a lot nicer now, so. They just didn't have the mix quite right, I guess, so.
Okay.
That's all I have.
So you've got that all taken care of?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else come up for the, on roundtable that anybody's thinking about? Wade, do you have anything that you wanna fill in with here for
Yeah, if you
about
just give me,
18 minutes?
if you just give me a minute to grab something, I forgot
Okay.
to. So if everyone recalls, several months ago, the recording situation surfaced regarding the device that Donna was using and how that came about. And at that point in time, based on the meetings that took place, it was my recommendation that Coffee County self-report to the Attorney General's office, which occurred, and then information was provided to the Attorney General's office for them to look into it, because I felt I had a conflict as the only two parties that can investigate potential violations of either COMA or CORA is the county attorney or the Attorney General's office. So in the spirit of transparency, to take care of whether there was a violation or not, I referred it, and it's captioned as a self-report, and I received a response from the Attorney General's office. The topics that were reviewed and covered were whether there was a serial communication in dealing with how the recording came about, based on the minutes that were provided and the copies of newspaper articles that also reference the what happened during the meetings, because as everybody recalls, during that time there was no recording, so that was other than the device that we had. Based on that information, the Attorney General's office found that there was no serial communication, although the better practice is to not get in that type of situation. It was explained that since that time, remedial action had taken place, updates regarding COMA and CORA had taken place with the board, and then to the point where the Attorney General's office is actually coming to Coffee County to present. So with that being said, ultimately the recommendation of the Attorney General's office is that the commissioners, anybody involved in COMA, which would be the board, basically the parties that are sitting here today, and anybody who has any active role regarding CORA, which is the Kansas Open Records Act, also attend the training. And those who attend need to basically sign in, designate what department they're from. As it relates to CORA, because one of the concerns that I had, although it wasn't a per se violation, the recordings that were were made, they weren't available. My concern was they weren't available for public consumption because no one knew they existed. However, since that time, we were made aware of their existence, and those recordings were preserved, and I believe that satisfies that particular issue. So corrective action has taken place. I believe the corrective action has meets the requirements under COMA and CORA. Now everything's being recorded. We actually have not only audio recording, but video recording. So any of the recording issues that there may or may not have been in the past have now, I think, been remedied. So that's the highlight. I don't think there's any further action that will be taken, to my understanding. The only other issue was the purchase of the device, and I believe there should be a voucher where all the commissioners signed off on the purchase of that device. So we may need to at least review to satisfy the Attorney General's office, the purchasing policy. That doesn't need to be done today. So, and this is being done in this format in the spirit of transparency, so that, you know, the board is elected to serve the county. A self-report was made to determine whether there may or may not be a violation, and it's done in this way for transparency purposes. So I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Wade? Not I know I visited with Wade off and on here the last 3 or 4 weeks about this, and with the Assistant Attorney General going to be here in the courthouse this afternoon to present a program on COMA and CORA. It sounds like everything is being resolved, and hopefully the issues that came up before is all going to be behind us. Because we are, in my opinion, we're being very transparent to all of our citizens of Coffee County, and by providing the meeting this afternoon for all the cities, the schools, the hospital, all the boards, to me, that's going to give them an update on what's expected of them and their responsibilities of servicing their particular city or county or whatever it may be.
It's a very noteworthy opportunity for not only the citizens of Coffee County, but the employees and those who work in local government to be a part of, or have the opportunity to have the AG's office here, because I asked several different people about when the last time the AG's office was here to put on a COMA or a CORA training, and to, at least to those I asked, they don't recall a time. So maybe someone here does, but I think that to invite the Attorney General's office to come, for them to accept the invitation to come, I think that's a pretty big deal. And even under the circumstances where there was a self-report transparency, and since I got here, I've talked about transparency the entire time, how important it is. I always use the example of, I could be sitting here and the blinds behind me are shut, and I could be legitimately doing whatever it is I'm working on. But when someone walks by and they see those blinds shut, they may think, well, why does he have those blinds shut? Because there's something that he doesn't want me to see. So the transparency side of that is you flip the blinds open a little bit to let the light come in. And that's the whole idea behind the sunshine law, in my opinion, so that people have the ability to see from the outside, looking in on what's happening. And when people are in the positions that our governing body is in, elected or under the elected, knowing what happens with money and decisions and those kind of things that affect people, the citizens of this county, I think it's important that those signs have that light be able to come through, and that's what's attempting to be done here. So, and in multiple different levels, with the recording, posting it to the YouTube and the World Wide Web. There's nothing to hide, and I think it's, you know, beneficial to not only the citizens of Coffee County, but surrounding counties elsewhere. They want to see what's going on in Coffee County, now they can. Not that they couldn't before, but this is just in a different format that meets technology in today's world, I guess. So that's really all I have for today.
Okay. Our department heads will be here in a little bit, and part of the subject for the department heads is to discuss the salary study. You're gonna be able to stick around for that. Wade, good, we'll ask for some input from you, I'm sure. So we got about 5 or 6 minutes before we start with the department heads. We do have quite a few documents that need to be signed, so it might be a good time to get some of the documents out of the way.
Don, I think since we're on World Wide Web anymore,
I'm sorry?
I think since we're on World Wide Web, I think we ought to put one of Coffee County's logos right up here, so every time they look at that, it shows it.
There you go. I have no problem.
No problem.
You know, those doors open individually, but they're probably not open very
So
often.
just stick one on,
Yeah.
How about you
hang
get
it
a
down a
flag?
little bit, and so be it.
Huh?
A flag?
Flag?
Yeah, banner, like a banner.
Let's put one clear across the room, just,
I'd have no problem.
welcome to Coffee County.
I have no problem at all doing something like that,
I
Bob.
mean, I think we should.
I concur.
Do you want me to get one ordered?
I just thought put up one of our sign logos like we have on our vehicles and
Okay.
stuff would be appropriate. I mean, we don't want to go too extreme or not.
I think one would
I
actually.
mean, just.
Is it big enough you're talking about the one they put on the vehicle?
Yeah, I think
It's
it ought to
big
be
enough
there
show
so that
up.
every time the camera's on, it's showing that.
I gotta leave them in here a minute.
I'll put them back.
Alright.
Fred?
Yes?
I was looking at this, yearly evaluation deal, and I was looking at 2010 when we went to the state, wasn't it, and talked to them about Wolf Creeks. Because I noticed that's when they made a drastic change. There was 3 years there that really went down. And then when we talked to them, then it started going back up again. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Grab one when I'm walking out, because it'll get all over me. Get it on my face.
Did you make them, or where'd you get them at?
No, I got him in Wichita.
Well, that's what you got in Wichita.
Well, that's what some of them stop when they're watching YouTube.
No, that would be ours, mine. I couldn't make them fail.
Thanksgiving dinner in Kelly Hall before he goes.
Kelly Hall.
Angie, this group that checks here has got a place for the treasurer and the clerk to sign.
There's longevity.
No, longevity's got a place for all three of them. This is general election poll working compensation.
Oh, okay, those are special issues for, yeah.
But I don't sign these. There's no place to sign them.
Let me check what's up on that.
You know how many department heads are gonna make it, all these.
Here, Jeff, you can come sit up here.
I was just thinking
That's what I was thinking, you just
Last week, and it didn't go through. If you're in the middle, if you just get that there, right there.
You know, yeah, never thought about that. That'd work. That would work.
Come on in, Miss Connie. Come on in, Miss Angie.
Okay, Don, there was a setting that she missed, but I think you did so fine right now.
Okay, that's fine.
It'll be fine.
In Mexico. Yeah, Mexico City.
Lions can win. Lions can beat Dallas.
Welcome to being a Lions fan over there.
I respectfully decline.
Respectfully decline.
Michigan won, that's all I got.
How does that compare to district? Probably don't wanna know, right?
Call the extension office and see if they're not so they know what's going on. Donna, would you call the extension office and tell them?
Okay.
So they can just know what's going on.
1262.
2 weeks is the game.
Twins. Oh, we
I
worry about you.
know, how come about
Or
when?
Gwen.
When did you sign in?
Right here. You sit next to her.
Where? No, I don't want to say that. I'm not gonna answer, yeah.
How it came out with these?
I'm not, are we still missing one or two department heads? or
Todd Bemis won't be here, so I'll just update him.
Okay. Well, at 11 o'clock today, department head meeting with the commission, and the focus of it is primarily on discussion of salary study proposals that we've been looking at here the last 3-4 weeks. We had 5 proposals come in, and we made a decision based on the review to go ahead and discover and investigate into 2 of them. And I'm pretty well gonna turn most of this meeting over to Wade, because Wade's been touching base with some of the references that was supplied to us. We have not made any final decision.
Darrell and Jill are both gone.
Okay. Haven't made any final decisions, and whether we do anything today or not, of course, that's yet to be seen. So, one of the studies included a human resource study. The other 4 did not, and we did not ask for the human resource study to be a part of it. But I'm gonna let Wade get into the discovery part of that, because if we accept one, because it is an HR study included in it, the other 4 didn't have the HR study included, we might have a little bit of an issue with the legality down the road. So, and Wade can do a much better job explaining that information than what I can.
So the HR, I'll start off with the HR side of things. My understanding is there's a committee, and Cody can fill better than I can, that was dealing with whether an HR audit would be something that Coffee County should look into. And I think there may be some other parties that are on that committee that that was brought up, and it just happened to be that one of the firms that put in a proposal or answered the proposal request included not a formal lengthy bid regarding the HR side of things, but added it in their appendix as a potential option to consider, because they were also gonna bid on the compensation study part. And why that's important is they were gonna offer a discount to do both of them at the same time, because some of what doing both of them included was some of the same work. So if the HR side of things, if the HR audit is something the commission is interested in moving forward with, then the concern is the other firms that presented a bid did not include a HR audit proposal or mini proposal, however you want to do it. The concern would be if they knew there was the potential for an HR audit process within the county, they may have provided a different bid or a supplemental bid that would have been the same as different. They just are entitled to that opportunity in the process. So if they're not, and that firm is selected, for instance, then is there a potential issue later on down the road for someone who didn't have that same opportunity? May end up in the same place, may not. I don't know what, the board gets to make that decision, but that is a potential concern. Initially, when this process started, the compensation study was the starting point, which was the important part of the process. I think as time has moved on, maybe the HR audit side may have developed a little bit more, and the board can fill you in more on that if that's something that they're looking into. The issue is, if an HR audit is something that is going to be considered, is that done separately? Is it done at the same time? If it's done at the same time, then there's a cost benefit by combining the two, if that's the decision. If not, then you separate them and you get different entities in, or the same entity. There's a significant cost difference, I guess is the best way to put it. So, I don't know if I did a okay job of making that make sense, but that's why it's a potential issue. So, if the HR side of things is ultimately where the board decides they want to go, then in the spirit of fairness and transparency, probably have to send out get new bids, and then kind of start the process anew. And hopefully that kind of fills in the gap and is what you were wanting me to go into.
The two firms that we selected as our two lead firms, the one of them that had the HR audit, the cost of that audit is $5,000 higher than the one without it. Now, whether that firm could do an HR audit for that $5,000, we don't know. But I know where Wade's coming from is trying to keep us out of a potential litigation, because we select one firm because they did submit an HR number for us to take a serious look at. And we haven't made any decision at all if we're going to go to a human resource officer, although there's been a little bit of discussion behind the scenes. And when we were at KAC meeting Wednesday, of last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I did sit in on the HR, and I expected it to be a presentation, ended up being a business meeting, but I did get the opportunity to visit with 5 or 6 HR people from different counties. Potawatomi was there, Muncie was there, Reno was there, and I forget the other 3 or 4, but, so I did get the opportunity to ask some questions, and kind of maybe not make my mind up completely if that's something we need to take a serious look at, but it did give me some more information to evaluate down the road. So, the audit that has the HR part of it is supposed to be a 7-month audit. The other audit, they said it could be done in 4 months, so we got considerable amount of difference. We've been moving this ball down the road for the last several months and maybe a year plus. And to me, we made the commitment to do it. To me, we need to get on, we need to get something done and get it moving. If we decide to open it up to these other businesses to submit a bid, resubmit a bid, and include the HR, how long would they need, to be fair to them, how long would they need to reevaluate that and resubmit a bid if they wanted to resubmit a bid? We don't have any guarantee they want to resubmit one, or where weight's coming from, and I fully understand, and I don't have all the answers, although I've dealt with contracts all my life, but we do need to make sure we stay out of any potential litigation down the road. And I don't know the feelings of all the board on the HR part of it. I've got a kind of a consensus, maybe a little, but.
And what I might suggest is, since we have department heads here, they may have some impact because the HR side may or may not impact them if they, see positives, negatives, or would just be interested in an audit. Doesn't mean that it would necessarily happen. It would just let the county know what someone on the outside looking in, what their opinion is on the HR side of things. I don't know what the answer is. I think that's the only, is there a question mark there? Is there not? And somebody who is a professional in that industry is in a better position to do an analysis and then, present what I call the good, the bad, and the ugly, if there is such a thing. So, I think I've laid out what my concerns are as it relates to that potential issue. If it's to be considered, it's got to be done right. And to do it right, it means backing up, delaying things a little bit, and then moving forward from there.
Does any department heads have any thoughts
So just for
on the
clarification.
issues that's being brought up right now?
So just for clarification, when you're talking about an HR audit, you'd be talking about them looking at our health insurance program, vacation, sick leave, disciplinary policies, that kind of stuff, right? What's more?
Our compliance with employment law, our employee records, our hiring and firing practices, our.
So wasn't, like those things, were they not just done in our policy manual review by a law firm out of Wichita? They just went through all that stuff, I think, did they not?
Yes.
We just spent a good chunk of money to have that done. Big chunk of money.
Can I ask a question?
Can I ask my question, when was that done?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
2017.
2017, okay.
Okay. I think that law firm, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they took about a year to review it. And then we finally got the policy manual back after that.
Correct.
That
But I
part.
thought that was just the policy manual review.
Well, the hiring practices, firing practices, all that kind of stuff is in the policy manual. So my question is, would
Employee
they be?
records retention, employee orientation, I know I have a note here from 3 weeks ago in a meeting, we were talking about.
Yeah, that stuff's not in the policy manual, I don't think.
No, we have a records retention schedule that we have to follow.
So is it, okay. That's my, what would it entail, if we did an HR one now, is it stuff that
some of that stuff that you mentioned at the beginning, like the benefits and that stuff, both of these companies said that that's something they would look into when they do the,
Salary.
salary, that's part of, benefits and stuff is part of it, so they're gonna be looking into that anyway.
And that's where my question comes in,
Right.
because if you hire an HR person, they're gonna be doing part of my job, part of Donna's job, part of Angie's job, and actually part of Wade's.
Mhm.
So what are we gonna do? You're gonna take away my work, what am I gonna do? Do you have an answer for that?
No, I do have an answer for that. We're not looking at hiring an HR person. The point of the audit was this came from the facilitator that came from K-State from the beginning and what started the process. There was communication, leadership, and accountability, and from those three groups, from the communications committee, one of the things they were tasked with, along with the recording of the meetings, was HR. We're better placed to start than with an audit. They may come in and say, we're doing everything fine and we don't need to change anything. We had met with McGrath Group, and then there was another HR consultants out of Topeka. And they had come down and we had met with them and gone through the process and everything else. And both of them had come to the conclusion that an audit would be the place to start. No different than our fiscal audit that we do every year.
That has changed
Employment
some.
law changes.
That has changed some since I was on the wellness committee then, because when I was
The
down in those
communication
meetings,
subcommittee.
those
Were you on the
people wanted an
communications?
HR director.
Okay. I'm saying where we were at with the communications subcommittee. And what was included in this RFP was for an audit, not to bring in an HR person. Now, that may come from the audit, but we don't know.
When I listened to these two vendors, I actually thought that a lot of them might cover some of the deals and might answer some of the questions that we're wanting to do with an HR. I'm looking at this, we told you guys we would do a salary compensation study, and now all at once, the whole issue is shifted to HR. It's whether you want us to do a salary compensation study or you want us to postpone this for who knows how much longer and do it, or whether we do this and then we worry about if we need to do an HR, we do an HR. I mean, that's my opinion is.
So how much discount, when you say they're giving us a discount to do it all together, what would they normally charge? If they're charging $5,000 more to do that, what would they normally charge if you just did the compensation and then later did the HR if we decided that was needed, so?
I'd have to defer to the chairman, I
Yeah.
I grabbed the wrong
Wondered
number.
if we just did one, see what happens, and then.
Would the firm that give us the HR,
McGrath.
which is McGrath, give us the HR bid? $12,000 discount. If we do the compensation study, job descriptions update, and HR audit, if we do them all separately, but if we offer them the contract to do all three of them at one time, there's a $12,000 discount.
A $12,000 discount?
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Now, how the other firms would get the HR part into it, we don't know. And like the Nick said, you know, even though we get an audit, they may come right back and say, you got everything going in fine shape, and maybe you don't need an HR person, full-time or part-time, or maybe you could share it with another county. You know, we need to do some, to me, we're in the discovery process to how we can move ahead and do things a little better. I'm not saying we can or can't. There's nothing wrong with discovery as long as we don't spend a lot of money to do that discovery.
Right.
But there is,
I think I could add, Dawn, I mean, I'd like to just add a couple of cents. I don't have any particular instances I can give you right now, but I do know that these vendors you do, you write it down in black and white, cross your Ts, dot your Is of what you want, and then there's always somebody after the fact that's thrown a little curveball at you that you don't really need. You've got what you need written down. I'm not saying, if the HR study is in the future, that's fine, but you've got this one thing to deal with, and to me, they've kind of taken themselves out a little bit because they didn't stick to what you asked for initially. And it happens quite a bit.
And I agree with you, but I'm also gonna say that I think the firm that done that is already doing some study with us, so they're already think they got their foot in the door, so let's go ahead and throw ourselves into this while we're doing it. So I think there's a conflict there.
Well, I think the HR study was an option. It wasn't in the main study proposal by the firm, but they just said, if you want this, this is what it would be. So it's an option. It wasn't tied into the main proposal.
There isn't anything that says if we decide to do an HR study 3 months or 6 months from now, I mean, that if we went with that firm anyway, but didn't have them do the HR thing now, they still have half the work already done, so nothing says they couldn't go ahead and price it at that pricing, correct?
But I doubt if it would.
If you don't do it up front, you probably lost the opportunity to get the savings. It may reduce it some. That full savings is probably not gonna be there.
I mean, they'd still have a
We can't
distinct advantage over the other company.
Well, but what Wade said though is also true, because if the other company does all this and we say, hey, we'd like an HR, they've already done it all too, so.
Right.
The deal is, you're gonna take one because they threw it in and the other ones didn't know that we were interested. This company knew that we were having a little interest in HR. The rest of them didn't know that stuff.
How did they discover that we had some?
Because of the, one group had already hired this person to come in.
I didn't hire, it was.
She just came.
She came
We
in,
asked her
one
to come
person
in.
had already came in and knew what was going on. So we've got to get, the other people need to have the same opportunity. I mean, that's what I think what Wade is saying is that everybody has to have the fair, same chance at it.
Is there any reason we haven't made a phone call to the other companies to say, hey, do you do HR audits? Like, that to me would take like 10 minutes of someone's time to make phone calls. Just to answer, I mean, that might clear all of this up.
They don't even offer it.
Well, the problem is, you may have someone else that may be interested and can do something. So, that's my concern.
On the legality side of it though, don't we have the right to reject any and all bids for whatever reason deemed necessary?
You can, but I think you wanna make sure it's done the right way.
Could they simply be contacted and ask what they would charge to add that on to the original bid?
So, there would need to be kind of a formal, what the expectations are in a
bid addendum or something.
request for quote to know the specifics. And the other one, we didn't have specifics, but since they had already kind of been in the county, they kind of had, I guess, an idea. They didn't provide a bid. It was in an appendix. And I think there's a distinction between the two. It's not a formal bid, but they did include it, and I think, I understand why they did, but if it's something that's being considered, there's also, I was always taught to measure twice, cut once, and that's what needs to be done here, and that's all I'm saying. If that is something that is gonna be done, it needs to be done the right way. Unfortunately, that delays things, but we're gonna measure twice and cut once, so that later on down the road, we don't find out that we measured something wrong and we cut something where it didn't need to be cut, and then we have to go back and redo the whole thing. That's why I'm in this seat, and that's why I'm bringing that up.
Just asking, and if the other firm wouldn't be fair to the firm that did include it, because that's already public information, knowledge of what their bid is now, so the other firm knows, okay, their bid was 43, we'll do it for 47, just so that, so I don't think that's a fair thing for the company that did it.
I think need to be a whole new set of, start over from ground zero, start the process anew, which, all in all, what does that delay things until potentially the beginning of January, and then we start there. I mean, I don't know what would happen. We're hitting the holiday seasons, Thanksgiving, Christmas season, and I'm not sure what all would get done. Maybe a lot would get done, but I'm just thinking realistically, if the silver lining is if something was going to happen and we need to circle back, now is not a terrible time considering the holiday season coming up and how much would get done. I don't know, maybe that's me looking at the glass half full, but realistically, we're at the stage where if it's going to happen, it can happen now, and it's not going to, delay things on a temporary basis, but the end result, we're still going to get there regardless. The timelines don't change other than we extend it out a little bit longer. We get the information that we're looking for, if that's what the board wants to do, and can make a completely informed decision because of the importance of what's going on here. It's a big project, and we're at this point because on the compensation study side of things, it appears to be, a necessity based on what's happened historically. So I think that's a benefit. The HR audit, and it potentially affects me on my end, I understand that, but I don't look at it as no one's coming for my responsibilities. I look at it as, is there something that someone on the outside looking in would see that I need to be doing better on my end? So I don't have an opinion either way because it's not my decision to make. But all the things that I've mentioned are important and need to be taken into consideration if that is the direction the board wants to go.
So your legal advice is if we're going to go with the HR, we scratch everything we got and start over?
We need to
Because we
send
had
out
five
for-
firms. We had 5 firms start out with.
We need to send out new proposals, request for quotes, set a deadline, have them come in, and we may get the same people who applied before. We may get something different, and nothing may change. But the important thing to note is the process. The process needs to be done the right way, and that's what needs to happen.
Would the other option be the commission decide which firm does this, they want to do for the salary study, and then just go out for bids on HR study?
That's another option.
So the salary study could get going.
You just
not
have
delay it. And you may or may not have the same company do it.
Just with the understanding that the cost to the taxpayer may be implicated if the two are separate versus together. And we don't know what ultimately would happen if new quotes were requested. It may be a significant discount, it may be more, maybe less, I don't know. Then we're getting into the world of assuming, and I don't like assuming anything. Right now, we've got the cold hard facts that we're dealing with what we have at this point in time, and a decision has to be made, you know, to go in one direction. I think, you know, we hit that fork in the road where if we go one way, we do this. If we go in the other way, then we do this. But you can't come back to that fork, because that fork is here today at this moment in time. And you circle back, but nothing as it relates to where that fork is today is gonna be the same tomorrow.
So did the county have the option of, when we put the proposals out to these companies, to request a salary compensation study and a HR? Was that an option that was debated, you know, in-house, and chose not to? If so, did McGrath, I agree, if they didn't follow the instructions because they had the inside track, are they dangling a carrot?
No, I had asked McGrath, because we had met with McGrath before the RFPs even went out for the compensation study. They hadn't even been mailed out. And Wade had identified as McGrath as one of the companies that he was gonna RFP to. Okay, and when I met with Lisa, I said, you should be seeing an RFP for whatever. I said, if you wanna add the HR separate, but just submit it with it, because there is work that overlaps. And that was it.
Here's what it is: proposal for services and compensation study, and classification compensation study proposal. That's what we asked for.
So it was innocent enough.
Right. So, because at the time, we didn't know whether an HR audit was even gonna take place. We still don't.
Right. There was no discussion at this stage of an HR audit. The HR audit kind of occurred behind the scenes, and my understanding is, since the one firm was aware that this other conversation was going on behind the scenes,
I just didn't know how that happened, you know.
Well, let's say this firm is the one that there's a compensation study is done through Coffee County.
Right.
And then later on down the road, like, well, what about a HR audit?
Right.
Do we get a discount for that? Well, no, because we didn't. So I think their intent was to say, hey, this is a conversation that's gone on behind the scenes with this committee, and if it's done at the same time, then there is a discount. Fast forward 7 months down the road, and they do well, what about an HR audit? Oh, well, it's going to cost this much, but if we would have known about it to begin with, it would have been discounted this much. So I think
makes sense.
But the other firms
should have the same opportunity.
They didn't know that, and they should be given the opportunity to present that information as well if they want to. They might not, I don't know. I mean, it may not even be anything in their wheelhouse, but if it is.
What do you feel like would be a fair time frame to ask everybody to rebid? They've already probably done 75% of their work, maybe 85%, we don't know. Is 2 weeks too quick of a turnaround for them? Or 3, before we give them probably the time to give us the information? To me, the time frame could be much quicker this time, but how quick, I don't know. And yet be fair to all 5 of them.
But we're asking for a whole new set, a whole new ballgame, because we're asking for compensation study and an HR. There may be other firms out there who might wanna
There
bid
might
on
be
that
some others.
also.
Well, so what it means is I prepared a request for quote for a compensation study. I would then have to modify the request to include an HR audit, as well. And that will require a little additional time on my part, because a lot of the language is probably the same, but some of it is completely different as well, as it relates to a quote. Does that make sense? So a reasonable timeline for me to get that done and then get it added out and then resubmitted. I'd need some.
So November's half gone, we got the holidays, so a reasonable timeline to get it submitted back to us might be mid-January.
Possibly, possibly.
Yeah.
So the other way to look at it too is what's being requested and what's happening here is not, the end result either way is not something that just affects calendar year 2020. It's a forward-thinking, by design process that if it goes through and the recommendations are accepted, it carries on into the future of Coffee County, whichever one is done. I mean, even if just a compensation study is done, because the idea is to see where Coffee County is as it relates to the market, and then either correct or fix if it needs to be fixed to get Coffee County aligned with whatever is the recommendations are. We don't know what the recommendations are, if they're gonna be anything. But that's why this process is occurring, because it's important to the board that the employees get taken care of the way that they should. And this is a way to have someone from the outside come in and do it, who's a professional in the field. So, the HR audit side of things, that may be something that is in line with the same thinking. But is it necessary? I don't know.
Okay, since I know on the compensation side, something we wanted to get going with and get it done, because we wanted to get it done for our employees. And I know a lot of the employee heads, department heads have expressed that fact. And so we've sat here for 30 minutes and talked about it. So I want to ask 3 questions by show of hands. I know the first one, we want the compensation classification study. Okay, right? I do. Okay. Do we want to do an HR audit? Okay. Now, the third question is a tricky one. Are we willing to delay this process a few months so that we can hopefully do it, or at least think that we're going to do it right and save some taxpayer dollars? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge dollar amount, but even pennies add up over time.
It looked like the majority agreed to delay it just a little bit to make sure. Is that what I'm seeing?
You can all blame it on me. That's fine. I'll wear that hat. But for transparency's sake and to be fair to everyone and hopefully do this right, if we go back out for RFQs we picked the 5 companies in the first place to send RFQs to. No different than using those same 5 if they offer most services.
I think they picked us. We didn't just choose 5 and go, did we?
Yeah, we did.
We did.
Yeah.
So
It wasn't publicly advertised anyway. No, but, if we're gonna redo it, then we'll advertise it, and I'll send to the same ones and we'll see what
See what comes back.
because there may be somebody who sends in a proposal for an HR that may be different than the salary study, but it may be more.
Did we publicize the prices? I'm not sure that was made public.
They're public when we got them on our desk,
Public
public
record.
information.
That's true.
And you just talked about it.
That's true.
Don't know that.
You know, like Cody said,
Got me on that one, Brad.
we've talked about it for now 40 minutes here today, and I don't like to ever cut conversation off if it's good conversation and a good dialogue. But Wade has spent a huge amount of time on this project. The commission has spent quite a bit of time on this here the last 4 or 5 months, and like Cody said, we absolutely got to and get it done right. And it does sound like the consensus of everybody, most everybody, you know, it's worth the delay to maybe re-request the study, including the HR, and try to discover and gather as much information we can and get the, and do what's right for our employees, and also do what's right for our citizens of Coffee County, because they're the one that funds our tax dollars.
So to clarify, an HR audit, not a person or someone to come in and change things, but an audit, where we're at, or recommendation going forward. 5 weeks, I think we could do that in 5 weeks. Adjust the RFQ and get it back to those 5 and hopefully request something that week before Christmas. I mean, it's 5 weeks, but it's actually only 5 working
I'd go
days,
after
but-
New Year's, I wouldn't go the week before Christmas.
Can do my best.
So we need to give Wade a timeline for all of them to get their deals submitted back in.
I kinda agree with Bob.
I'm sorry?
January something.
We're postponing now, another week.
January the 6th is the first Monday of the new year. You know, that, because I know a lot of these companies probably take a lot of vacations, get them out of the road.
Oh, yeah.
Well, but the same token.
But all of them have got everything.
After Christmas.
Yeah,
Got half their work done now.
yeah. May even be 75-80% of the work done. We don't, you know, we don't know that. To me, it shouldn't take too long to put this thing together.
2021, or 2020.
And also, I don't care how we do it, as long as we do it right and it's fair for everyone.
Sure.
And I want to throw this out, and I take this, I guess this from an employee here in the courthouse. We're looking at what we can do with our communities also.
Mhm.
And I noticed that Lindsay has it in her deal, Vision 2020. Actually, when I talked to my cities, I called it 2020 Vision. And I think that what we're doing here with the employees is part of our 2020 vision for Coffee County, of what we're gonna do for the future. And I take it to 2020. And thanks, Lindsay. But I take that everything is basically gonna start in 2020. So what we're gonna do for the future of Coffee County, which includes employees and the citizens, so I think
This started last year.
Yeah, but I think 2020 vision is a good deal to go, and
Yeah.
let's make things work.
I fully agree with you, Bob, but I'm not too sure that the vision date, you know, we need to look ahead a few years down the road. Vision date maybe ought to be a 2025 or whatever it may be.
No, you're looking at that in 2020, it's a 2020 vision,
Yeah.
looking ahead,
Yeah. So,
and that means perfect vision.
there's no way to arrive at perfect vision.
You got Wade.
Wade, what else do you need from the commission? It sounds like the consensus is to move ahead,
So
ask for resubmission of proposals.
deadline, January 10th, 2020, that's a Friday. The prior week would be the 3rd, which is New Year's week, which you may not get much
Doesn't count.
work out of a lot of people, just because of the holidays and what that brings. That would be my suggestion. That would, unless you're wanting, you have an earlier timeline. I think if you get into the holidays, I'd like to think that you'd get something, but I know you run into holiday travels and Christmas and then New Year, and you may not get what you want.
I didn't hear the first date that you mentioned, January 10th?
January 10th is a deadline.
It's a Friday.
It's a Friday.
January 10th, will that date work for the commission?
I think that's a good suggestion.
If that's reasonable.
Okay. Wade's still got a lot more discovery to do, a lot more work to do. They put a huge amount of work in the first proposal because it included many, many pages of documentation, and I'm sure this, including HR, is gonna add a few more.
One last thing then, do we need a motion to reject bids as submitted?
Probably.
I kinda think we probably would be, if they came back on us, documentation would be in the minutes.
But what if they don't like these bids? Could they not refer back to, just go with what they had before?
I think.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, right now, we're rejecting, based on what we're doing, to me, we're rejecting those bids,
We're rejecting just for compensation.
so they're not gonna revert back, so.
The rejection is
We would reject all bids received for the RFQ that we sent out.
Right.
Just cut and dry.
You wanna take the lead on that and make a motion, Cody?
Sure he does.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Andrew, do you wanna read that back to us when you get that documented?
And the reason why you're doing that is because you want to have a new request with, an HR audit included for not only a wage compensation study proposal, but an HR audit proposal as well.
You want to add that to the motion? Move to reject all RFPs received for the compensation study for a new request with an HR audit proposal also included.
Got enough in there, Wade?
I think it's
Okay, Cody's moved, Tom, you seconded, any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried 5-0. Anything else the department heads would like to bring forward?
Wolf Creek exercise tomorrow.
10 o'clock start.
No. You can show up at 10 if you want to, but we'll be started by then.
We asked Matt what time we need to be here, you look at 8:30?
Yeah.
He said at 8 is what he said, so.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else to come before the commission?
I know they're probably all aware of me, remind them of Thanksgiving dinner.
Thanksgiving
Friday.
dinner Friday at 11:30. We got Assistant Attorney General Philip, somebody will be here this afternoon at 1:30 for down in the basement. Anybody, any more in the round table?
Philip Michael.
Philip Michael. I was in his, I'll be listening to the same meeting I listened to 6 weeks ago down in Independence. I'm sure it won't change much. I need it. Well, I couldn't, it was held in a large library. There was 50 people in the background. Nobody could hear very well. You couldn't hear the questions. You couldn't hear the answers. And the response, it wasn't a very productive meeting.
And
So the atmosphere we're gonna be in here, hopefully it'll be a lot more productive.
And what we've done to help alleviate some of those acoustic issues is I've worked with Brad, and all the credit needs to go to Brad for kind of working behind the scenes, but he has obtained a speaker and microphones, and are there 2 microphones?
Just one.
Just one, okay. So for anybody who has a question in the audience, I can be the DJ and walk it up to that person so they can ask their questions, because one of the things when you have questions that get asked, not everybody can hear the question, and then there's an answer. Then you get an answer to a question, nobody knows what the original question was, so hopefully we'll be able to address that, but I asked Brad to see what he could come up with, and he's taking care of that, so, and Brad set up the electronics, and, you know, he's.
Yes.
It will be.
Before 1:30.
Yeah.
That's.
Anything else?
1, 2, 3.
If not, Angie, we adjourn at 11:48.
Are you adjourning or recessing? I guess you're adjourning.
We
You
wouldn't
want
be
me to-
doing
yeah.
taking any
Yeah,
action.
we're not doing
Okay.
anything, we're not recording anything this afternoon, correct?
Okay, right. So,
Okay.
11:48?
11:48.
Okay. Good to see you, Miss Connie. Hey, how we doing?
We do.